Alright guys, so we're gonna do a hard mode Nakatra updated kill video. If you've seen my previous video, it's pretty stuff. But with this strategy is how I learned to not die in hard mode Nakatra. Basically gonna do it with tier 90 Death Warden, full tier 90. The perks are not really like anything. You know, right now I do have the best in slot defensive perks for a mascot, but you don't really need best in slot perks to use this method. Basically, we're just focusing on surviving, having the highest HP possible with all the buffs, and using expensive spices to have the food heal more. Also using Pet Blessing for higher healing on food, and using like super brews and selfish or selfish soup, and basically just gonna go through getting all my buffs. This is my inventory for a mascot, but we'll just switch it up a little bit. Ask if you're having a huge difficulty with the Nakatra, but these are my perks and stuff like that we're gonna use on here. Blessing of Head, pretty OP. We don't need the Spectral Spirit Shield. I just have that for my preset with for Nakatra. But yeah, the perks, they're the best in slot supposedly, but you can really just slap on any tier of these type of perks that I have on my armor. They don't have to be the highest level. Things like Lucky is pretty easy to get. Bulwark is pretty easy to get. Even Crystal Shield is pretty easy to get. And so we're just gonna go ahead and get all the buffs, like the bonfire, the thermal bath, and if you don't have a blessed flask, well, you can just take like the super prayers flask, like 1 or 2. I think even with our super restores, if you just take like 1 or 2, you should be okay. The most important, and if you don't have super brews and you don't want to purchase them, you can just farm the grapes. The seeds, I think they're like 10k or something. The grapes, then you turn them into wine, and then you make them into super brews. But yeah, we're just gonna keep going. We're gonna go ahead and get all the buffs. Thermal bath. What else? But yeah, with 2 super prayers, you should be okay. I mean, 2 super prayers or 2 super restores, you should be fine. Expensive spices from Let the Meat Pie. I think I carry that. After Nakatra, I always carry expensive spices everywhere I go. But yeah, you can see super Sarah brews are pretty expensive, but you might even be able to use the normal Sarah brews, but I was not able to do it without super Sarah brews back when I started. For my rune pouches, just have your standard rune pouches for like disruption shield if you have it, and vengeance. You don't need the highest overload. Like, I think even with a regular overload, you should be fine. Some roll bombs. You don't need the spirit shield. You should have an adrenaline potion. Power burst of vitality is not needed, but you can. I just always have a power burst of vitality. Thermal bath for sure. Let's see what else. I had my mic muted when I was recording the voice. Like, I was doing the video and I was talking, but my mic was muted, so I had to come back and re-record this over the video. I did a hard mode with the power gear. So if you want to skip, the Death Warden, be my guest. You can certainly skip this and go on to the power gear one. It's just straightforward from the beginning to Nakatra. Let's see. I found that the Sword God String is the best one. One thing I didn't mention is Lord of Bones and Limitless. I've had Limitless since Carapac, so if you don't have Limitless, you're just gonna have to make sure that you have your magic prayer and either Devo or Reflect when she's doing her special attack. Because in the video I do get a little bit carried away and I forget about my Limitless, which is one of like the most expensive PVM upgrades. I think it's like 600 mil or something. Definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. Divert too. If you don't have Divert, we are gonna be using Divert. We do not use Resonance. Basically, my rotation for this is in all manual, but if you're still using Revo, you can do Revo for like the first 5. You can copy my bar, not an issue, but if you're still using Revo, you can use the first 5 on Revo. It's not gonna be a problem. I'm over here explaining my rotation and it's muted, but basically my rotation on here is I search from the beginning. Like once I'm set up, I summon my conjures, I life transfer, I command ghost, I do death mark in the middle of everything, I do Lord of Bones, and then I split soul, I command skeleton, and then I search forward, I do death skulls, then I do divert, touch of death. And if my divert does not give me adrenaline, then I do soul sap, and then I go into living death. Death skulls again, touch of death, and then I try to get to 12 stacks, do one finger of death, and then I switch my magic prayer on, and then I reflect, and then I death skulls again. And then I try to get stacks and do finger of death while I'm living death. And then the most important part is free diving. So Nakatra will do 2 auto attacks, either major range. You know, she starts off with magic, and then 2 auto attacks. She does a special attack, then she'll change to range or mage. It's always the same thing. I always surge. It never changes. I always do this same rotation on her. See, so she's doing her special attack after 2 auto attacks. With that warning, you don't even have to read. And then I surge forward. I miss this. But if you can time it correctly, you know, you just get through it. Then just keep making sure that, you know, I do my rotation. This is where you want to pre-dive. You see how it's here? I pre-dive. Like I press my dive keybind and just wait for it to appear. I typically, you know, sometimes I do this crossover, but most of the times I just surge forward. Alright, so here's where we want to pre-dive. You know, we're ready, you see it, and we drop it. And basically it's just about stacking up, using volley of souls, using some blows, using your tier 95 spec. In the hard mode, I mean, it'll be a lot easier. Unfortunately, on this death recording mode, on the hard mode one, I super like pretty detailed on what I'm doing as far as the abilities that I'm using. And as you can tell, I mean, we're not really using much food, but if you are struggling, like on those parts where you're not pre-diving and you're getting hit, then the food, I mean, it's gonna heal you right back to the floor. These Nefties, they always spawn on the west and east side, so once we're getting closer to 480,000, you know, you want to walk either to the west or the east side, it doesn't really matter. And then we just, you know, DPS the Nefties down. Unfortunately, I think I don't get it in time, but usually I do split soul and volleys on this first one. Since I was like focused on trying to be detailed on what I was explaining, I forgot. But I split soul and I volley the first one, blow, tier 95 spec and touch of death on the first one. But I was out of whack. So here I'll split soul and then I'll use the volley of souls. So what I do is basically, you know, try to volley in tier 95 spec right there. And on this kill, I missed it because I was just trying to talk over, like explain what I was doing, and I was kind of fucking up a little bit. And so in the sense, we'll want to do death mark, threads, and volley on the dogs. And then we have to go on the path that's not shown here. You can right click the glyphs and see what they're called. I memorized all of them, like Moonstone and Time, and then that was Spartan. And then I just Dead Skull, Split Soul, Volley of Volley of Souls, Divert somewhere in there. On this one, just about time, but even if you miss it, you can eat through it with this setup. With Death Warden, Shellfish, and Super Cerberus, you will be able to eat through that part, not a problem. 16,000 life points. So. And if you use, I was talking about how we were running Vampire on this one. Like, with Vampire, you will not die. But anyways, thank you for watching. Sorry I muted my mic. It was a lot better without the muted mic, but I did do this hard mode one, so enjoy. And Fury of the Small. Okay, so my power gear is here. And for this one, you know, I use Gutex Rest instead of Cerberus and just Blubbers. We'll go ahead and start. And I use Scripture Full. Pretty easy, like 345 to 430 average kills. So far I have, let me see here. So far I have 755 5 hard mode, and my log is a bit cracked. So we'll start hard mode from the beginning. Summon. Life transfer, E back up, Soul Excalibur, Death Mark, don't need Lord of Bones or whatever, Split Soul, and Command Skeleton, Dead Skulls, Float, Tier 95, Touch of Death, Tier 90, and then just auto it. Float, I didn't get the skip or whatever. And then just auto this here. I use C's a lot because sometimes you'll start attacking that coil spawn. Alright, so then I do volleys, touch of death, finger of death, tier 90 spec, soul sap, command skeleton, float. Just run around and not getting hit by those things. Phase it. Seize. Keep going. Then I split soul. Dive out. Volleys. Oops, I fucked up, but whatever. Treads. Volleys again. Dead skulls. Divert. Summon, Living Dead, Finger of Death, Finger of Death, 90, and this is gonna heal it. Oh man. Typically you want to just stun those things, but it. I don't do it in one run. I don't even have that master achievement. I mean the grandmaster achievement, doing it in one run. Or it's a master achievement, I don't know. But anyways, bank. Second boss, pretty easy. Go back in. Yes. Summon, life transfer, command ghost, Excalibur, death mark, split soul, command skeleton, surge, death skull, tier 95, touch of death, tier 90 spec, soul sap, float, command skeleton, freedom, and then just escape this thing, search out, volleys, thread, soul sap, volleys, touch of death, soul sap, dive to one of these. Tier 90 spec, soul sap, command skeleton, float, soul sap, touch of death on the boss, soul sap, split soul, tier 95, touch of death, finger of death, soul sap, skeleton, blow up the zombie. Volleys on 3. Conjure, Threads, Soul Set. Then here I use Reprisal on this guy. So Reprisal and Power Burst. Finger dead. Oh shit. Death Mark, Soul Sap, Bone, Tier 95, and Tier 90, Dead Skulls. Struggle to the last part of this. Oh wait, I think he's Living Dead. Living Dead, Adrenpot, Split Soul, Bullies, and then Finger of Death until the end. Usually I do Vengeance like on the normal game. Alright, so we're good there. Alright, perfect. So now we're back at Nakatra. Yes. Darkness. Alright, so I Conjure, Life Transfer, Command Ghost, Death Mark, Lord of Bones, Split Soul, Command, Skeleton, Death Skulls, Divert is what I start with. Death Mark, Lord of Bones, Split Soul, Command, Skeleton, Dead Skulls, Divert, Touch of Death, Living Dead, Adrenpot, Dead Skulls, Touch of Death, and then I get 12 stacks. I do one Finger of Death, switch to Magic Prayer, then Reflect, Dead Skulls again, another Finger of Death, and then I just try to get 12 stacks again. And then I pre-dive right here. Dead Skulls again, pre-dive. And then T95 spec, Touch of Death, Finger of Death, Magic, Divert, Wally, T90 spec. Dead Skulls again, and then pre-jump, pre-dive, blow up my zombie, and then I go ahead and stun these things with this basic. It's always good to pre-dive on this part. That way you don't get hit. Because if you're doing it with power armor, it's kind of not good. And then I devil this one. Float. And then I get to the west side. Split Soul. Death Mark, Volley, T95 spec, Finger of Death, Touch of Death. And then this one I just wait for it to heal. blow, touch of death, one finger of death. We want to keep stacks because we're gonna volley and we're gonna T90 spec when she is vulnerable. Alright, so volley and T90 spec. And then melee prayer. Death mark right away. Surge. Threads. Soul sap. Load. And then that should take care of them. Just a couple autos. And then we have Sanctum and we have Elitness. Sanctum and Elitness. Sanctum, so we're gonna go over here to Kron. This is gonna be Death Skulls. Death Skulls with Soul. Volley. And then I try to do like a Living Death. Then this is where I use actually Limitless right there. I use Limitless. So if you don't have Limitless, you would have to wait to use the Death Skulls after that. But here you want to pre-dive basically. Alright, so we didn't get it in one cycle, but whatever. Melee Prayer, Death Mark, Thread, Soul Sap, Bloat, and then just autos. And then that basically just kills them. We got Moonstone and we got Sanctum. Moonstone and Sanctum, so Anaspec. Alright, so Death Skulls, Volley, and Tier 9 Spec. Let's see, what was that? 433. Yeah, that's, I mean, like, that's an average kill. Alright, so thank you for watching. Bye now.